48 hours. That is the deadline Iran has just given to Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Qatar to make a decision that could define the Middle East for the next 50 years. Not a negotiation, not a diplomatic consultation, an ultimatum. Delivered simultaneously to every Gulf monarchy through restricted communication channels. The message was identical for all of them, simple, binary, and catastrophic no matter which option they choose. Stop allowing American military forces to use your territory to launch attacks against Iran. Close the bases, deny overflight rights, end logistical support, or accept that your oil infrastructure, the foundation of your entire economy, the system that feeds your population and powers your cities, will become a permanent military target that Iran will systematically destroy until nothing remains. 48 hours to choose between economic suicide and strategic abandonment. There is no third option, no middle ground. No. And the deadline is not negotiable. Iran made that very clear. We are not asking for your cooperation. We are informing you of the consequences of your choice. Choose America. Your oil fields burn. Choose your oil fields. America leaves. Either way, the Gulf that existed just weeks ago, where monarchies balanced relations on both sides, where neutrality was possible, where wealth bought security, that Gulf is gone, and it is not coming back. On March, Iranian representatives delivered identical messages to the Saudi Crown Prince, the President of the United Arab Emirates, the Emir of Kuwait, and the leadership of Qatar, not through official diplomatic channels, but through intelligence communication lines that Gulf states maintain with Iran for messages too sensitive for formal diplomacy. The kind of channels used when the message is too dangerous to make public. The message was direct. Your territory is being used to launch attacks that kill Iranian civilians. American aircraft take off from your bases. American drones operate from your runways. American missiles transit through your airspace. American logistics networks operate from your ports. Each of these operations makes you a belligerent in this war, not a neutral party, and belligerents pay the price in wartime. You have 48 hours to end the American military use of your territory. After that deadline, if American operations continue from your soil, Iran will begin systematically destroying your oil production infrastructure, not your military bases, your oil fields, your refineries, your export terminals, your pipelines, your storage facilities. Everything required to extract, process, and export the resource that your entire economy depends on. It will be destroyed methodically, completely, and irreversibly, and you will not be able to stop it. The Gulf monarchies immediately understood three things. First, Iran is not bluffing. The last 2 weeks have proven Iran can strike targets across the Gulf with precision. Saudi oil installations have already been attacked. Kuwaiti refineries have been hit. The capability has been demonstrated. Second, American defenses cannot protect Gulf oil infrastructure. There are simply too many targets spread across vast distances and too vulnerable. One Saudi oil field alone, Ghawar, the largest in the world, has more than 800 individual wells spread across nearly 280 kilometers. You cannot place a Patriot missile battery on every wellhead. You cannot intercept every missile when dozens are launched simultaneously at multiple targets. The math simply does not work. Third, the 48-hour deadline is real. Iran is not beginning a negotiation. Iran is ending one. The decision point is now, and delay itself will be interpreted as choosing America. Let's examine what each option actually means. Because this is not a diplomatic puzzle where clever negotiation finds a middle path. This is a binary trap where both doors lead to disaster. Option 1, choose America. The Gulf states refuse Iran's ultimatum. American bases remain. Operations continue. Iran executes its threat. Missiles begin striking Saudi oil fields. Facilities operated by Aramco, producing roughly 10 million barrels per day, begin going offline. Not all at once, systematically. One field per day, one refinery per week. A sustained campaign designed to reduce Saudi oil production from 10 million barrels per day to 5 million, then to 2 million, and eventually to near zero within 3 months. What happens then? Oil revenues make up 87% of Saudi government income. If oil production drops by half, government revenue drops by half. Saudi Arabia can no longer pay public sector salaries. It cannot subsidize food and fuel. It cannot finance the social programs that maintain stability. In a country where youth unemployment is already extremely high, The nation that bought stability with oil wealth loses that wealth, and stability disappears with it. This is not hypothetical. It is mathematical. The United Arab Emirates faces the same calculation. Oil and gas account for roughly 30% of GDP, but they underpin everything else. Foreign investors abandon the real estate market when the country becomes a war zone. Tourism collapses when airlines stop flying to cities under missile attack. Financial services relocate to places like Singapore when bombs begin falling. The UAE would not only lose oil revenue, it would lose the entire economic system built on that revenue. Option 2, choose oil. The Gulf states tell the United States that American forces must leave, bases close, overflight rights end. American personnel are given 30 days to depart. Iran stops targeting oil infrastructure. Oil continues to flow, the economy survives, but America leaves permanently. Once you expel U.S. forces during wartime, the alliance is effectively over, not paused, finished. Strategically, this means the Gulf loses its security guarantor. Iran becomes the dominant regional power by default. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Kuwait, and Qatar become Iranian client states, not through conquest, but through strategic reality. They cannot defend themselves alone, and the country that could defend them has left. Iranian influence spreads across every Gulf capital. Iranian preferences become Gulf policy. The monarchies that spent 70 years balancing against Iran suddenly give Iran everything it wanted, without Iran firing a single shot at them. And the United States? America effectively loses the Middle East. Not a war, the entire region. 60 years of military infrastructure, alliances, strategic positioning, and access disappear because Gulf states chose survival over alliance. Here is what makes the ultimatum strategically brilliant. The 48-hour deadline prevents negotiation. It prevents the United States from deploying new defenses. It prevents anyone from finding a diplomatic escape. 48 hours is enough time to make a decision, but not enough time to avoid making one. Iran designed the timeline specifically to eliminate the strategy Gulf states have relied on for decades: delay and ambiguity. For years, Gulf monarchies balanced relations with both sides. They hosted American bases while maintaining dialogue with Tehran. They bought Western weapons while maintaining diplomatic contact with Iran. That strategy worked because both sides tolerated it. Iran no longer does. Now, every Gulf state faces the same question. If we choose America, can we survive? The military answer being delivered in private meetings is simple: no. They cannot defend their oil infrastructure from sustained Iranian missile campaigns. American defensive systems are already stretched thin. Interceptors are limited. Early warning networks have been degraded. Even at full capacity, the available defenses cannot protect the sheer number of targets Iran can strike. The second question: if we choose Iran and lose America, can we survive? Economically, yes. Strategically, no. They would survive financially, but their sovereignty would shrink dramatically. Their security would depend entirely on Iranian goodwill. And then comes the third question, the one no one wants to ask. What happens if we choose America and America loses? Then the Gulf gets the worst possible outcome. Their oil infrastructure is destroyed, their economy collapses, and America withdraws anyway after losing the broader war. This is the calculation keeping Gulf leaders awake tonight, because recent events have revealed something many never wanted to consider. America might not win this conflict. Defenses have been degraded. Forces have taken losses. Carrier groups have repositioned further away from threats. These are not the moves of a military fully dominating the battlefield. Traditional diplomacy requires time, intermediaries, and room for compromise. Iran's ultimatum removes all three. No time, no mediators, no compromise. The demand is simple: American forces leave or the oil burns. Publicly, Gulf states cannot admit they are complying with Iranian ultimatums. That would be political humiliation. But they also cannot publicly defy Iran, because that would trigger capital flight, public panic, and economic collapse before the first missile is even launched. So what will likely happen? Privately, Gulf states will give Iran assurances that American offensive operations from their territory will be quietly restricted. Publicly, they will claim they are simply exercising sovereign decisions. Iran will declare victory. America will maintain that alliances remain strong. Everyone will pretend humiliation never happened, but the reality will remain. American military capability in the Gulf will have been severely restricted, not by battlefield defeat, but by coercive diplomacy, exploiting a fundamental vulnerability. The Gulf's wealth depends on infrastructure that cannot be fully defended. The ultimatum is elegant in its cruelty. Choose the ally who cannot protect you, or choose the adversary who can destroy you. Both choices are defeats. One is immediate economic collapse, the other is slow strategic irrelevance, and there is no third option.